What's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larsen, and you are listening to Sales Funnel Radio.
Welcome to Sales Funnel Radio, where you'll learn marketing strategies to grow your online business using today's best internet sales funnels. And now, here's your host, Steve Larsen.
Hey, I hope you guys are doing good. So the last little bit here has been a little bit busy. We've had 4th of July. We had a bunch of family over. We went and bought a ton of fireworks. We blew a whole bunch of stuff up, and it reminded me a lot of my childhood. We used to take them all apart and make our own fireworks, and it was not safe, but it was a lot of fun. Anyway, I had a lot of fun with the family over, and it's just been busy. So I had a whole lot of people here just, enjoying the house, enjoying the place we just moved into, and it's just been great. It's been a good experience the last little bit. I just literally have not had the time to podcast. So it's 11:30 at night right now, and I just decided I should probably push one back out there. So I wanted to show you guys something really cool that has been on my mind the last little bit. This will probably be kind of a quick episode, but I just wanted to share with you this really cool epiphany that I've been having about the Perfect Webinar Script. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Perfect Webinar Script is the script that Russell Brunson has put together to help basically sell anything. Now, it's Perfect Webinar Script, but we've often mentioned how much we kind of wish that it wasn't called the Perfect Webinar Script, because it can be used for any kind of sales, whether you're doing stage presentation, whether you're doing any kind of, obviously webinar, of course, video. Honestly, guys, I use the Perfect Webinar Script on you guys on this podcast almost every single episode. You probably just don't know that's what I'm doing. I always come up with a story. There's always, kind of and the story is structured similar the same way. Usually there's a wall. There's, my back is up against the wall. There's inner and external desires. There's conflict along the way. As I go towards the main thing I think I want, there's this side transformation that happens. You know what I mean? We go through the hero's 2 journey, and I don't always hit them all perfectly every single time. If I was crafting an actual sales message, I would. But I use that as a guideline for anything. I mean, you can use the Perfect Webinar Script for any kind of communication with any of your people at any time. And what's really been fun is, a lot of you guys know that I'm the coach for the 2 Comma Club coaching program of Russell's, and it's been a lot of fun. And so every Friday I'll get on, and typically is anywhere from 30 to 70 people on the phone call. It's kind of a big range back and forth, but 30 to 70 people, and I'm on there for about 4 hours, 4 solid hours, and I've done that for probably 4 months now. So each week on Fridays for about 4 months now, and it's been way past 40 hours of me in our little sound recording booth right next to where Russell's office is, and it's really awesome. So I go sit over there, and it's always funny. There's air conditioning vent right above my head, and it doesn't stop, and it's way too powerful, the little tiny room. So I'm always numb by the end of the 4 hours, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. There's a bunch of people that get on, and what happens is they'll come submit all their questions. Hey, how does this work here? Should I use this script? Is my funnel set up correctly here? Is it this? And there's tons of questions that I get, right? Hundreds that we've gone back and indexed. And I just, over the last, especially the last about 6 weeks, through this last group that's just gone through it, there's been this realization that I've been having more and more and more. And you might look at this and you might go, okay, Steven, duh. Like, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. How come you didn't see that, Steven? Okay, but for me, I just barely saw this, okay? And now, it takes me back to when I was doing door-to-door sales. And I know I reference that a lot, but it really was a massive boot camp, so to speak, on how to sell and how to approach people and how to handle objections. And obviously, you got to do that in a sales funnel, right? The Sales Funnel Radio. And I remember there's a guy that brought me to the side once, and he said, Steven, look, and he was actually, I think, the guy that recruited me into the company to go sell for them for that summer. And he brought me to the side and he goes, look, Steven, here's the big secret, right? People already know whether or not they want the thing, whatever you're selling. They already have made the decision. You don't need to convince them to have the product, yes or no. What you're trying to do is you're trying to help them come to a logical conclusion so they can close themselves. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole secret. You are not there to create desire, right? You can amplify desire. You can take someone's desire and you can blow it up, or you can kind of poke at it a little bit and say, hey, remember, here's desire. Remember, you do want this. Remember, see, and then you start logically closing them. Hey, well, you should get it now because the price is going to go up. Well, you should get it now because, we're spraying the neighbors. I was selling pest control. We're spraying the neighbors. So since we're here, and you start logically showing them how that fits, how the decision to actually buy your product works. And he's like, that's the big secret, man. When I was speaking at Dan Henry's event at AdCon in Florida, he actually had a whole speech about that very thing, that very, very same thing. He said, I still remember the story is really, really cool. And it was all about the same time this whole thing started forming in my mind. Like, oh my gosh, here's a connection, here's a connection, here's a connection. Wow, that works. Looks like we've been doing that all along and I didn't even know it. And what was kind of cool is he stood up, Dan Henry stood up, and he starts telling the story about when he was, I hope he's okay telling me this, I'm sure he is. Had a great interview with him, by the way, on this podcast. Go back and listen to it if you want to. But he told the story about when he would sell, I think he was selling dish or TV services or something like that. And he was, like the top salesman in Dish. They'd sell 2, 3, 4 services a day. And he would do like 17. I mean, like insane amounts, right? Now, these are sales funnels. Please try and think of how you can use this inside of sales funnels, because it's been really helpful. It's actually simplified the sales process for me a lot. So just work with me for just a second here. Okay. Stick with me. Okay. What he said was, what he would do is he would stand up and he'd go to these big conventions, and he would basically, as people would walk up to him and they'd walk by the booth that they had set up there, right? People would walk by their booth, and all he would do is he would stand up and he'd go, hey, did you forget to sign up for Dish? And they'd go, what? And he'd go, get out of here. And he'd wait for the next person. Hey, did you forget to sign up for Dish? And he'd be like, what? No. He'd be like, okay, never mind, get out of here. And finally, he just kept saying that over and over again. Hey, did you forget to sign up for Dish? You know what I did? And he would go, oh, hey, it's fine. We got a form right here. You'll have it done in 2 minutes. While you're here, it's super easy, and we got some cool thing. Just do it right now. And he'd hand him a piece of paper. He'd hand him the form with the pen right there. And he didn't try and convince it. Did he try and convince him? No, but he would do that literally every single day for every single person and go, hey, did you forget to sign up for Dish? Did you forget to sign up for Dish? Did you forget? And he just kept asking that over and over and over again. And he said, it's the reason I don't split test my ads. I split test my audiences. I keep my ad so targeted that the right person who hears that will be the easiest lay down sale, right? He's going and he's grabbing the low hanging fruit that a lot of times we'll go and overthink, right? So that was like one of the first things. Now, you take what he was saying about, keeping the message in such a way that, you're just tapping into desire that already exists. People already want to buy. They already want to buy. They always already want to buy. Buying such an emotional thing. We get this dopamine release. I mean, we love to buy stuff. We actually physically, kind of get somewhat of a high from when we buy stuff. We all want to feel that. We don't want to feel sold because we feel taken, we feel cheated, we feel cheap, right? But we do want to go buy, and we want to make that decision on our own and come to that conclusion on our own. So the way we do that is we start to logically close people. And hopefully the message resonates with people who've already decided whether or not to buy. All right, so you think about that, okay? And then you think about what the other guy was saying with door-to-door sales. Look, man, they already have made the decision. They already know. All you're doing is you're trying to help them see why it's a good decision to do it now. Do it right now. Take action now. If there's no timeline, nobody's ever going to do anything, right? And then you mix that with what Dan Henry was saying at his event, and it just amplifies that, okay? Taking the same message and just pounding it over and over and over and over and over. And that's how he would get, I think he got to go meet like the VP of Dish and all this stuff because he blew away so many records, right? With that kind of thing. And you think about the way, so coming back to the 2 Common Club coaching, the last little bit, we've been focusing heavily on webinars, right? How to create $1 million webinar, how to go, and that's part of what my job is. I go and help them, tweak the message, tweak the funnel, put all the stuff together, launch the thing, right? What happened? How do we fix it? And sitting where I am, it's kind of a cool experience to go back and forth with them and do that. And that's what the 2 Common Club coaching is. There's a ton of other stuff, but that's what the Q&A section is anyway. And one of the reoccurring things that I've noticed over and over again with the way people write their pitches or the way that people will write scripts, and this is true for webinars, it's true for tripwire funnels, it's true for back-end funnels with the really high ticket things, versus low ticket, anything at all. There's a lot of, someone sent a funnel to me that said, hey, Steven, check this out. and I went and I checked it out. And on the actual sales copy itself, was a whole lot of logical reasons. There was nothing else on there except for a whole bunch of logical reasons why I should buy the thing. Now, that's like a lot of people write copy that way. A lot of noobs, a lot of people who don't know how to write copy, or people who don't know how to write any kind of sales messaging, or have never done sales at all before. A lot of them will handle sales that way. They'll get straight into the logic of it. The problem when you do that is that you have not tapped into the emotional side, right? This is where Russell kind of helps and bridges the gap like crazy, especially with the Perfect Webinar script. He says, guys, look, buying is an emotional experience. First, we've got to appeal to the emotions. Let's load up the front end of this pitch with a ton of stories, right? That's what the Perfect Webinar script is. So what Russell teaches and what the Perfect Webinar it's so funny. I use it when I spoke at Dan Henry's event. I used the Perfect Webinar script. There wasn't a pitch at the end. When I spoke at LCT, there wasn't a pitch at the end. It was the Perfect Webinar script. Teaching and breaking and rebuilding belief patterns in general works for anything, right? Any kind of content communication you put out there. And so the huge realization that I had recently about it is that when there's a great book I'd recommend out there called Pitch Anything. I don't remember the author, but the book Pitch Anything also illustrates a huge part of what I'm trying to say right here, right? When you think about the sales process, let's say I'm walking up to somebody at the door, and I walk up to someone at their door and I knock on the door, and what's the first thing they're thinking inside their house? Well, wait a second, who the heck is at my door? Should I be worried? Should I be nervous? Is there someone out there? Is there a killer? Is there a robber? Is someone going to come in and take from me? Is it the tax guy? Should I run the other way? You know what I mean? There's tons of question and red flags that get raised in someone's head when they're not expecting someone to come to the door, right? So they come to the door, and what's the first thing? If I stand up and go, what's up, man? I got this thing and this, and logical close. The very first thing that person's going to do is they're going to start backing up. And they're going to go, let me put as many walls up. How can I get rid of this guy? There's something on the stove. My wife's calling me. Not interested at this time, and they just shut the door. Right. And that sucks. But that happens to everyone in any kind of sale, even if they wanted it. And what the book Pitch Anything goes through is it talks about and says, hey, look, literally every single one of us has got these instincts on buying. They got these instincts on survival that have to be met before any kind of buying decision can be made, right? So number one, and these are things that have been part of all humanity in our brains for millions of years, right? That make up the brain. So as soon as the sale starts, not even the sale, as soon as I approach anybody, the very first things that are going through their head are, is this going to hurt me? Is this gonna, should I run? Should I fight? Can I eat it? Can I mate with it? You know what I mean? It's all the primal instincts that are just meant to keep me alive. And it's all the subconscious decisions that are starting to fly through my head. And I don't even know that I'm making those, but I do that every single time. Really fast, quick judgments on whether or not I should fight, flee, eat, you know what I mean? And those are all, anytime I meet anyone, any new situation in general, we're constantly assessing through what the book Pitch Anything calls, we assess through what's called the croc brain, right? And we got to get through the croc brain. And as soon as we help someone come down with all those different red flags, and we help them pull down the walls and pull down the barriers, right? They have to do that. Well, I can't do that. If I try and do that, it'll feel like an infringement and they will back up, right? But if I can help them convince themselves that everything's safe, everything's fine, this is new, it's exciting, there's novelty here, it's not boring. If it's boring, that's another wall. It can't be boring, that's another wall, run away. But if it's new, there's novelty, right? But it's not so new that it's scary, it's out on the fringes, then hey, who's this guy at my door? Right? And what Russell then teaches, right, is you go kind of a bridge from the book Pitch Anything to Perfect Webinar Hack, the Perfect Webinar script, is why don't we tell some stories, right? The person I'm talking to might have some false beliefs. They may want the product but have a few questions. How about I figure out what these people actually need, and I'm going to go answer that actual question, okay? And I'm diving deep a little bit into a few different concepts here, and I hope that it's just making sense. I've talked for 14 minutes. I said this is going to be a fast episode. But I hope this is making sense. I hope that this is helpful, because a lot of the sales funnels that are being sent to me, I mean, honestly, an overwhelming amount of them, I just can't look at them. But a lot of them, what's actually happening, I've noticed, is that you cannot make a sale by only going logical. Even when people think, hey, I'm an engineer. Hey, I'm a software guy. Hey, I'm an architect. Hey, like when like the brainiacs of the world, when they're, self-proclaimed brainiacs of the world, even if they think that they need to be closed logically, they still have got to be closed emotionally. Everybody makes the decision emotionally to buy first. Well, guess what? That happens before what Russell calls the stack, right? Before you actually get into the price, before you actually get into what the offer is, before you actually start asking for somebody's money, they have already decided if they want the product. The price is almost irrelevant. Okay? Almost, I mean, the price is almost always irrelevant. It's almost always a matter of whether or not you broke and rebuilt that person's belief patterns to accept your message, to accept the fact that the product does fit their life, right? If you have rebuilt their belief patterns that strongly, by the time you get to what Russell calls the stack, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to perfectwebinarsecrets.com or join 2comaclubcoaching.com, and you'll run through that and you'll see, hey, look, first we're going to focus on false beliefs, then, and just so you know, Russell, when he does his perfect webinars, he doesn't start the actual logical closing phase until about an hour into the actual webinar. An hour, a whole hour. Crazy, ridiculous. That's amazing. A whole hour. The first hour is spent on breaking and rebuilding belief patterns. The first hour. Okay? And then only 20, 30 minutes is spent on the logical part of it. But that's not how most of us sell. Most of the things that we got to get out there and we got to start logically closing people. It's completely 180. It's totally the opposite. We'll start logically closing. Well, it's on sale. Well, you know what? Since you're here, well, you know what? Why don't we have you come over and just try it on? You know what I mean? It's all these logical closes, well, it has these features. Well, it's better than that other competitor, which, anyway, it's better than that other competitor. We have this, and this. It's like, oh, well, I didn't even know that was an option. So thank you for telling me about your competition. Anyway, hopefully this is starting to make sense of what I'm saying. There's really 3 major phases of the sale. 3 major phases. Now, this is what I've found. This is what I've used. There's 3 major phases. Number 1, you've got to get past their immediate knee-jerk reaction, subconscious croc brain. Number 1, you've got to get past the croc brain. You got to get past all of the ancient, parts of the brain that just keep us alive, right? You got to get past that. And that part of that said is meaning you can't just be boring. That's not, that's another wall. It's still got to be new. There's still got to be novelty. There's still got to be things that are interesting, right? So number 1, you got to get past the knee-jerk gatekeeper of our brains, right? Number 2, break and rebuild belief patterns using story. The belief patterns, the false beliefs that they most likely have, you're making stories that directly go against what their false beliefs are, so you can break and rebuild the belief patterns. Number 3, that's when you start doing the logical closes, and it's typically the shortest phase. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that helped. I hope that made sense too. That was probably the most technobabble I've ever said on a podcast ever, and I'm so sorry. I hope that it made sense what I was trying to say. But I will tell you that when I started learning more about, back to door-to-door sales, when I started learning more about the product that I was selling at door-to-door sales, my sales plummeted. They plummeted. And it's because I started logically closing people. That was it. I got really good at getting past that gatekeeper, right? That part of the brain. I got really good at getting past all the knee-jerk reactions, keep us safe, croc brain. But I was not at all directing or spending any time of effort at all in breaking and rebuilding belief patterns, right? And when they would ask me, I would barf fact all over them. I would barf so much fact all over them that they would end up closing the door just to get me to shut up. And man, It sucked so bad because I was like I was selling like hotcakes until I started learning about our product. And I think it's such a key lesson with that. And so anyways, that's all I wanted to share with you guys, is that these are the 3 phases of the sale. And it's honestly one of the major reasons why we have sales funnels, right? Number 1, what are you going to do? We got to pull. Okay, this guy's actually here to help me. We give him a free thing in the very first part, right? And we're starting to bring down those walls, right? Number 2, let's go star story solution scripts. Like let's bring in like a character. Let's bring in a cool story. Let's go talk about a problem and a cool solution, right? That kind of script works really well as usually an upseller, after they've already made the first commitment. Then we start logically closing them. And you know what I mean? It doesn't work out perfectly that way. But all I'm saying is when we go out and we start to logically close people, it is the easiest way to just lose the sale off the bat. And of all 3 of those phases, in my opinion, number 2 is the most important. All right, number 2 is the most important. Number 1, we usually take care of subconsciously. We don't even realize we're doing it, most of us. if we're socially adequate people. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. 3 phases. First, get the walls down. Then epiphany. You're working on and breaking and rebuilding belief patterns. And the third part is the logical close. That's the stack. Anyway, guys, hopefully that is helpful. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm excited for you guys to go implement stuff. Please honestly let me know if that helps. Usually I don't do this form of podcast. I usually go into a little bit more, it's a different kind of, anyway, this is a different kind of style. I should say it that way. And I would love to know whether or not this actually was awesome and this helped. That's how I look at the sales. That's how I look at the phases. It's not always perfect, but that kind of guideline right there, knowing that those are the steps that the individual needs to go through, super helpful. Totally changed the way I sell and definitely has helped me online a lot. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Sales Funnel Radio. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Want to get one of today's best internet sales funnel for free? Go to salesfunnelbroker.com/free funnels to download your pre-built sales funnel today.